bubbling bars of bases, continuing Qidi questions, and Maker-World models more money. All this and more, PrintFix Friday, episode 164. Let's get into it. Starting off with editor Andrew believing that becoming Tyler Durden this year for spooky season is the right thing to do, but he's having some issues when it comes to making the bar of soap, which is traditionally made with lye, a strong base, hence the intro. I'm trying more on these. I hope you guys are liking them. So we've got some weirdness on this bar of soap, and we can see that it is present on all sides, as well as you can see that it extends kind of all the way around here on the bottom. And yes, that is
the left hand of one of the people that edit these videos.
So I know he has an SV06. I know it is relatively unmodified, and I know that all of that equals a machine that generally, while is a great machine by 2-year-ago standards, it is certainly lacking in the speed category. You can push them in speed, but unfortunately, this is the kind of outcome that can happen. We are dealing with edges that are pulling up. Now, that is regardless of this one little corner that pulled up. This bubbling that you see, it is effectively showing up as over extrusion. What's happening is as the machine is printing, it's not cooling that outer layer enough. And so as it's cooling, it's pulling up. So as the next layer goes on top of it, it's now squished out a little bit. And this is just, well, lather, rinsing, and repeating over and over until you get to a vertical wall surface. We can see here at the Z-seam, we are dealing with some more of that kind of bubbling nonsense. It's not wet filament, so stop it. Could be a little bit damp, although that could just be some retraction settings. The filament itself actually looks fine, and quite frankly, I think it is the perfect color for a bar of soap with two particular words on them that I know nothing about. But this is likely a just retraction artifact, and he likely has a retract every layer turned on. It appears this is at the start, so it could be a issue with priming or ramming of the filament into the nozzle, because eventually it looks like it just squirts out a bunch and then figures itself out as it moves on to the next side. We can see in areas outside of the Z-seam, it looks better. There's still some artifacting. Exactly why that artifacting is occurring, I'm not 100%. We can see down here, he did have supports turned on for everywhere, but it's likely not enough that the slicer was going to do anything about it. Because this is just a prop for a costume, this is more than good enough for government work, and it will pass the sniff test for people asking about the bar of soap. But if you were going to do this for, some sort of professional thing, there's a couple of ways around this. One, you can turn down your temperatures and slow your machine down quite a bit for those perimeters themselves. Let it go a little bit hotter and faster for the infill, but the perimeters might benefit from a lower speed and a lower temperature, so that not only is the plastic coming out slightly colder, it is spending more time in the path of that fan. Alternatively, if you really wanted, you could get a couple of small desk fans and blow air from all sides, and that's often what high-speed printers of today do. Printers like the Bambu Lab X1 Carbon, P1S, and quite frankly, most really fast Core XY printers that are above a $300 or $400 threshold tend to have external yet also internal cooling, where it is a big fan that blows air across basically where the nozzle is printing. That results in parts that are facing that fan having significantly better cooling, but parts that are not facing that fan, or areas of those parts that aren't facing the fan, can have similar concerns to what we have. This SV06 from Soval, which they've been teasing the SV06 Ace, and I'm not saying that I've had one for a couple of months because Soval sent it quite a few months early, even though we agreed to just do an unboxing of it live when the media embargo is up. But maybe that's the actual story. I guess you'll have to get subscribed and stay tuned for a potential, maybe eventual live stream, but you know, hey, that's just between us girls. And it's nice to see them updating a platform that we lovingly called the Poverty Prusa, because it was effectively a Mark III's for people that didn't want to pay Mark III's money. And even still, you can get an SV06 Plus for around the same price you can get a Mark III's Plus used. But the benefit of the Mark III's Plus is for an extra $250-ish, you can go to the Mark 3.5, which I recently basically completed. I'm missing one part. That's my fault because I'm using the wrong color power supply, but that's no big deal. We'll card to that video series. You guys can take a look. It is printing now. Don't worry. It's running great. We're happy to have that machine running in the shop, and I'm letting it go through its paces in the heat of the garage so we can see how it handles the extra heat compared to the Mark III's that have been enjoying their time inside in the air conditioning. But for the regular SV06, you can definitely look at changing out its fan duct and even the fan if you wanted to a more powerful fan and a better wraparound fan duct that would solve a lot of these problems. Is it a perfect solution? Well, no, it requires modifying the printer, but as a long-term solution, I think it's the best one. The lines you're seeing here, that crosshatch pattern, that is from the build plate. That is normal, that is expected. I'm not worried about that whatsoever. That first layer looks absolutely beautiful. Looks like it tried to do a little bit of support material there. I don't think support material was necessary for this. I think better cooling was. But if you wanted, of course, the other option in this would be to cut the model somewhere in the middle and then just glue the two halves together. You would still have that one seam, but if you're using a really good first layer and, you know, a little bit of wood filler and some spray paint solves that problem 100%. Anyways, alternatively, you could be a turbo geek and actually make a soap mold and pour a real bar of soap, because that would actually be funny.
The first soap was made from the ashes of heroes, like the first monkey shot into space. Without pain, without sacrifice, we would have nothing. Like the first monkey shot into space.
Anyways, hope your spooky day went well and nobody got drugs in their candy, because for some reason that's still a perpetuated myth. Why anybody would ever do that is still beyond me. Speaking of beyond me, it is normally beyond me to tell you my name, which is Grant, and this is PrintFixFriday, where we help you get your printers back to printing with purpose. And if you are dealing with a problematic printer, you can reach out to us on all the social medias, although I'm mostly monitoring Twitter, Blue Sky, and YouTube. You can use the hashtags PrintFix and just hit us up, and we'll do what we can to help you out. Because, you know, nobody likes having downtime. And it's fun to help each other out. And hey, if you got a channel or you're selling stuff online, we'll give you a shout out in the videos. Always helps a little bit. But I'd love to know what you guys would do about that soap back there. Would you cut it? Would you change the fan duct? Would you slow it down? Would you add cooling? What would you do? Love to know your thoughts down below. Next, we've got something that I'm a little conflicted about. I first saw this in the Printables subreddit saying, does anyone know what's happening on Printables? A lot of models, originals too, are deleted. We can see 3D Print Bunny deleted some stuff. Lord Talon 34 did. And a few others. Now, we love 3D Print Bunny. In fact, we've interviewed her at 3D Printopia and Rocky Mountain Rep Rap this year alone. I really did enjoy our interview at Rocky Mountain Rep Rap. We'll card to that so you guys can take a look. The reason for this deletion is this. Exclusive model program, cash rewards, and copyright support. We can see that Bambu, who still doesn't have dark mode on their website, Maker World, like others in the past, is offering an exclusivity program with two options available. Let's take a look. We have exclusive model. The requirements are a model must be exclusively available on Maker World. Both new and existing models are eligible, and they must have the standard digital file license. The 14-day launch includes pretty much the same thing, except the 25% is now down to 10%, and you ain't getting help on the copyright support. Get out of here. And you can leave the program automatically after 14 days. So after 14 days, you no longer receive those 10% and you don't get as much exposure in Maker World. There is the kind of capitalism small business owner side of me that's like, okay, I've seen other companies do this before. I think I've even seen Printables do it. I know Thangs has done it. This is kind of normal. Designers will get an incentive to go exclusive on different platforms, right? I can't blame designers for doing what is in the best financial sense for them. The problem that I have has to deal with Maker World in that I really just don't like the platform. It's green printables. I'm not a huge fan of the terms of service in Maker World. I've talked about it a little bit. I don't know if we ever covered it in a video. One of the big things is these files go to servers in countries with little to no protection for your copyright. I'd love to know what this actual copyright support agreement looks like. We see that they explain it a little bit, but copyright infringement is a big deal in this industry. People that upload models that they paid for, then upload them for free, you're literally stealing the food off of the plates of the makers. And I think Thangs is one of the model repositories that has really stepped up and said, we are putting all of our AI prowess to making sure that your models are staying safe. But it's just kind of funny to me that a company or a relation to a company, right? I'm looking at Bambu, specifically for Bambu Studio, who stole Prusa Slicer, got called out for it, and only then did they start following the rules. And Prusa waited a while to call them out. Now they're going to be offering copyright support. And so they're only offering it if you go full exclusive to them. And they say their goal is to assist our creators in protecting their copyrights through legal means and facilitate the removal of infringing models both within and beyond our platform. And we can see that they're specifically dealing with creators who have accumulated over 2,000 prints, or those whose infringed exclusive models have reached more than 500 prints, can apply for up to 5 uses of this service per year. This exclusivity grants you 5 times to contact someone via legal means. I'm assuming it's just DMCA takedown request, only 5 times a year. I don't see the value in that. I've talked with a lot of creators, some very notable digital creators who are just tired of trying to police everything. And even though places like Thangs will help you, and Maker will only help you 5 times. After that, you're on your own. So 5 times. So what? After the 5th time? So you're telling me that if I want to infringe on a digital creator, you've told me that if I just infringe on the same person 6 times, it now becomes the Wild West, according to Maker World. You've given me, assuming I'm a bad actor, the tools that I need to continue to act poorly, rather than just saying we're going to support our exclusivity partners as much as we possibly can. And whatever that means, it means. But setting these arbitrary limitations is difficult, because if the other sites that this stuff is uploaded to, like outside of Maker World, are not tracking how many times something has been downloaded or printed, or it's just not public for whatever reason, then they can't apply to utilize this service. I would guess that if it happens a lot, maybe they'll increase it, but Bambu to me is acting more reactionary these days than proactive. You see, by collaborating closely with creators and legal professionals, we aim to develop a system that effectively safeguards users' copyrights and interests. And it makes me giggle a little bit, because literally they didn't do this. They themselves are guilty of infringing on, I'm going to put quotes around copyrights, their inherent copyrights. I'm not a copyright attorney. They said, we've added a new category in our customer support where you can submit a request for copyright support. I like that they've added that. To me, the biggest thing here is that they've added a section in their customer support specifically for copyright support. Now, are they only willing to help you if you go exclusive? I don't like that, because that's kind of holding the carrot, right? Hey, we'll help you for 5 times as long as you choose not to do business with everybody else. Otherwise, middle fingers to you, because we don't care, allegedly. I don't like that. They have every right to do this. I have every right not to like it. I guess I don't mind the 14-day exclusive launch model, because it's then just 2 weeks to everybody else. But what do you guys think about this? I understand that we're like limiting the exposure that people can get, but I wonder if 25% more money is really worth the complete loss of exposure on other platforms. Obviously, we'll find out in a couple of months, and if you have gone exclusive on MakerWorld, I'd love to know your opinion down below on it, and if you don't mind, send me an email. I'd love to talk with you off air, no recording, about the finances behind it, and if you believe it makes sense now, and maybe we talk in a month or two and we see if it's actually paid off. I'd be really curious to see if this pays off. I'm on the fence about it. Like, from a business standpoint, I hate that companies do this, but MakerWorld's not the first, to be very clear. They are not the first ones to do this. So I can't hate the player, I have to hate the game. But I hate that they're talking about that they're going to be providing copyright support, but it's like a massive asterisk of only 5 times. So is it really valuable? Following our coverage of the Qidi Tech X+4 kind of fire hazards, it's the best way that I can describe it, from last week, we'll card to that video so you guys can take a watch into it. Qidi Tech, literally the next day, 4:42 a.m., which is 4 o'clock in the afternoon for them. We're 12 hours apart. On a Saturday, emailed me to say, "Dear, for the +4, it was due to a firmware bug causing the heater power to spike to around 800 watts. Now, I'm going to try to confirm this, or theoretically, I already have. I'm filming this before our unboxing of the X+4, which we will card to, because that already happened for you guys. It happens tomorrow for me. But I'm going to verify all this. I'm going to hook this up to meters, and we're going to find out how much wattage this thing actually draws. And they're saying that the new firmware fixes it and keeps the power back to below 400 watts. And they tell me to make sure to do the firmware update to avoid any issues with the older version. A lot of users got these machines in their hands. And Qidi, I'm sorry, but this is just a firmware thing, and unless you can somehow let every buyer know, I don't know how you can guarantee that they know that they need to do this firmware update, then they are dealing with a potential fire hazard here. They gave me the GitHub links, as well as the actual process for updating the firmware. So that's something, but this is only a software limitation. I want to see hardware limitations, because if you forget to do it, you roll back the firmware for some reason, or a future update removes this actual fix and nobody realizes it, I don't want users to have risky printers. I have continued contact with Qidi Tech, offering that we want to assist in building some sort of either revision to that heater control board with the SSR on it, or an inline either heater fuse, replaceable blade fuse like you would have in a car, something to validate that this thing isn't going to go nuclear. And if it attempts to, that is going to trip a, albeit hopefully resettable, sensor that can somehow alert the user. And if it trips something that's non-resettable, you'll know because your chamber won't heat up. I initially thought this was the right thing to do. So like I posted the screenshot of that email into our Discord saying hats off to Qidi, because they actually did this pretty quickly. But in reality, the Discord reminded me that this is just software. It doesn't stop the hardware from being a problem. And especially for people like me, and I'll admit it, I never update firmware. I just don't. If it works, there's no reason to me to update the firmware unless there is a massive new feature that I would want. And because we keep our machines offline, I don't worry about cloud security because I don't use it anyways. Which Qidi Tech's cloud also has a problem, which we talked about last week as well. My plan is to test the wattage draw of this machine. If I remembered, here's the clip of it. Update, only a few minutes later, we are at 158 degrees Celsius on that common mode choke, still drawing about 3.5 amps on average from 110. That is also drawing about 3.4 amps, and we're losing a fair bit of heat to that copper choke that is causing the heating issues that people are seeing. This is on the updated firmware that should solve the issue because it is only drawing about 360, 370 watts versus the over 600 that it drew without it. But this is not a safe number. sorry. This is a Qidi Tech +4. I wish this wasn't a problem, but it is. So, to me, this is more of like a band-aid on something that probably should have had stitches. It'll figure itself out eventually, but the bleeding is still going to be slow. I am worried that this is not the right solution and should viably result in some sort of either recall or hotfix that, if users are confident and certified, can do themselves, or to have Qidi Tech actually outright replace the machines. I don't feel comfortable recommending this machine until we see a hardware update, because if you don't do the firmware, or there is a malicious intrusion that disables a very easy thing to disable in the software, we have fire hazard problems. So I'd love to know what you guys think. To me, this is a solution. It's better than ignoring it, but it feels almost akin to what Bambu did with the A1, where they're like, oh, here, just put this connector on it, it's fine. And then a little bit later, they're like, actually, let's just go ahead and recall these. That's probably the safer move. We're gonna go ahead and recall them because it's better than a lawsuit, right? Any amount of hardware revisions, even if you have to take all the machines back and ship brand new machines to everybody, is way cheaper than a resulting class action lawsuit, I promise you. Does that mean the right thing will be done? I don't know. I am still in talks with Qidi. I am urging them to take a hardware solution to the problem. We will see what comes out of it, and I will keep you all updated. So I'd love to know your thoughts in those comments below. Just like I love all the names listed right next to me at the $5 tier and higher. Thank you all for supporting the channel and helping us make awesome videos like this multiple times a week. And if you do want to support us, you can do so for as little as $1 a month. And hey, at the $10 tier and higher, you get to come hang out in our private Discord server where we've talked a lot about this, and if it wasn't for our fans, I think my position on this would be a little bit different. So thank you guys for presenting different opinions and showing me that, yeah, this is a solution, but it's not a perfect solution. So thank you. And if you like this video and you got this far, you'll love the videos right below me. So click them, enjoy, make sure to leave a like, and hey, stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, keep making awesome. 164 episodes, man. It's pretty cool. We'll see you later. Starting off from editor Andrew, who decided that for spooky season this year, he wanted to be Tyler Durden. Durden? Durdle?